Shut up, compressor. Hey everyone, Matt here with Duke's Models, and welcome to the Pony Bash. Okay, so I've been working on the Eduard P-51 in fits and starts while I try to shepherd the big Trumpeter A6 across the finish line. And here is where it's looking at the moment. So pretty much the main airframe is together all the way from the cowl back to the stabilizers and the tail. The wings went together well enough after a bit of work and a bit of stupid tricks. The stabilizers did as well. If you happen to follow my channels and stuff, you may have saw that I posted a little pet peeve post about these things. When you just put them in, they droop. Now, this is a pretty good example of them being easy to install once you apply glue and all that shit, but at the same time, it's still a pet peeve of mine that they just don't sit at the proper angle as is. That would be a really nice, convenient thing to have, especially in the year 2020 when it seems possible. Other than that, you can see I have gone and taken some pains to restore what I can of the upper cowl detail here. This was all basically just the barest hint of rivet detail and whatnot, and so this is me going back in with my center punch and basically just restoring that detail somewhat. Again, there's going to be olive drab over this, so the goal isn't necessarily like full bore amazing detail. It's more we want it to not look out of place with what's going on here. That will be bare metal. Wings are on. The windscreen is on and masked, and it is on and masked on the inside as well. I really honestly love the way that the combing and everything fits in here. Severely disappointed in the quality of the gun sight though, because it has an awesome seam, like a mold parting line, running right through the entire middle of it, which in a lot of places is easy to get rid of, but right in here on sort of like the reflector and the projector and everything for the actual gun sight itself, it's really tough to get in there, and it's really tough to get in there and buff it to a nice shine. So that's one where I would probably advocate going for a resin replacement because they're available and they've got to be better than that. But the windscreen itself, as you can see, it fit nicely. No big issues there, which is interesting because I know a lot of people have run into problems with this, and I honestly don't really know what to say. I can see how if you don't get other stuff aligned, it could be a problem perhaps. So maybe that's something. Maybe, I don't know. It happened to work out fine for me. So at this stage, I have one more thing I want to touch on briefly, and that is the propeller. Now, I am not at all a fan of the kit propeller for two reasons. First of all, for their engineering choice. I am not a fan of the split spinner trapped prop design. What that means is the spinner is split between a back plate here and sort of the forward cone of the spinner, right? And the propeller is fully built as a sort of a cross and placed within the two and trapped in there, and that's how it's located. Now, this creates a few problems. First of all, if you have to clean up any of this at all, you have to clean it up around the prop and like work around these giant things sticking out, and it's really tough to get in here and clean up this detail, which I don't know if you can see it or not, but there actually is detail in there. A lot of little rivet things. It's tough to clean up that line and preserve that detail while also avoiding hitting the props. And my other frustration is, hey, this is World War II. We've all seen Mustangs. The prop and the spinner are rarely the same color, and painting and masking this thing it's just an extra chore. It's a level of fussiness that I don't think is necessary, especially when you consider you have the little tiny bit in here up underneath the cuffs that also has to be accounted for, right? But my frustration with it, aside from just the nature of the trapped prop design in general, is when you go around the side of this thing, you can see that the diameters of the spinner and the backplate, like especially down here, just do not match. The spinner is a little bit bigger and not significantly, but to the point where you're gonna have to clean it up, and that's gonna create problems. So, fucking annoying. And then when you pull it apart, you can see what I mean by the trapped prop, right? So the prop goes in there like that. This is actually a piece. This is a piece, and they all go in. If anybody has built Tamiya's old 1995 era Mustang, it uses something kind of similar with this front and back spinner, but instead of a trapped prop, you have 4 individual blades that have sort of like a D shape on their stems, and they glue into a thing in here. So you can put them in after you've built the prop and, you know, done all the sanding and prep work and everything, and even painting. So anyway, this is annoying, and I decided to go with a replacement thanks to Quick Boost. I thought about the Eduard one, but the Eduard one honestly uses the exact same design essentially as this, and so it's basically this in resin, which is basically like spending money for the same problem. So get that out of here. So Quick Boost prop came with a big old pour stub on the bottom here that had to be removed, and as I was removing it, I was thinking, you know what, I don't want to drill a mounting post, or I don't want to drill a hole and put a mounting post in. What if I tried magnets? So that took a slightly larger hole than I was prepared to drill. It's like a 1.9 or 2 millimeter hole. You got to bust out the carbide bits up to a size enough that they are really awkward to maneuver with resin and plastic, but hey, what the hell, right? And then I enlarged the mounting hole on the front plate of the prop, or of the fuselage, just slightly to fit another magnet in there. And then yay, we've got a spinner. And it's not 100% perfect. It still has a little bit of cleanup, but I think has to do with the Eduard itself than the prop. But pretty dang good. And I can also, you know, rotate this as I need to. It goes wherever. And once this whole front up here is yellow, you're not going to see quite the same mismatch, because it's going to be basically yellow up to like here. So sweet. I'm much happier with this prop than I am with the Eduard one. I'll be able to come in here and paint this on its own, install the blades after the fact, and just be happy. So onward. So for the most part, the control surfaces on the Eduard Stang are pretty well done, with a couple of minor exceptions. So first, one thing that kind of hacks me off is that the ailerons are not handed. So you can theoretically come in here and put it in upside down. There's really nothing to prevent you from doing this, except for the fact that the rear portion of the lower ailerons have raised rivets for some reason. And so you can kind of use those like braille for modelers, I guess, and keep your shit where it needs to be that way. But it's kind of annoying that, you know, it would have been a simple matter of just making the tabs different lengths to prevent you from fucking it up. The other main annoyance is with the flaps. So I've got one glued together here that kind of shows how fucked up the join is. Basically, the problem is Eduard split these things in half, which is fine, I get it, you gotta get detail on both sides. But they chose to put the dividing line on the fucking top side. Like, right there. And it sits funny, and like, it is joinable, but it's very hard to make it join without having your fingers right on it, which is a great way to get fingerprints on this shit. And again, for some reason, they made the back of this raised rivets. I don't know why the hell they went that route, but they did. I don't think the real thing has raised rivets back there, and even if it does, I don't know, this seems like a fucked up way to do it, right? So my goal here is to get this glued in with a minimum of fuss. I'm going to try going from the sides, getting them where they need to be first. The problem is when you introduce the raised rivets, you get rid of the ability to sand here without erasing them. Thanks a lot, guys. Especially if I want to, you know, polish this up for, oh, I don't know, a bare metal aircraft. Like, my buffing wheel would just deposit shit all over those things. Not cool. Anyway, once you get these glued, they actually mount in pretty decently. They just kind of sit like so. So the good news is it's easy enough to glue these after the fact, right? The bad news is there's no real way to do like a flaps up if you need to mask invasion stripes and whatnot. But that's a kind of minor concern, I guess. So, yeah, that's that. And with that, like, I'm not gluing on the elevators back here yet, or the ailerons. So with that, it's pretty much the end of the main build portion of this thing. I still have some stuff to do on the underside back here. I need to do some cleanup right in here, and I need to glue some little PE bullshit right there. The big outlet scoop I'm going to leave off, and probably come back and paint. I might paint it separately, I don't know, because the one I'm doing has invasion stripes wrapping around the bottom, and it will probably be easier if I can place that in there and make it go flush and then pull it back out. And the way it is designed to build, it has a little PE thing in there that kind of holds it at a certain angle and connects right in there. And so I don't really see the point of installing it just to have trouble masking around it. Same with the antenna up here. That'll wait until later. Don't need that right now. It's pressure I don't need in my life, because there's, again, invasion stripes that we'll need working around. Love how that pops out the aileron right there. Very cool. But anyway, there we go. Mustang. Woohoo! Fuck.